I hope everything goes well and how lucky you are to be engaged to such a lovely lady, and my goodness.
Duchess Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, recently broke the silence on a long-kept secret about the late Diana, Princess of Wales, a revelation that has sent shockwaves through the media. Sophie shared details that have been hidden from the public for years, sparking a media frenzy. But what exactly did Sophie say about the people's princess? Join us as we uncover the truth behind the secret Sophie exposed, as well as the intertwined lives of both Diana and Sophie and their complex relationship. Duchess Sophie had admired Diana long before marrying into the royal family. She was deeply moved by Diana's public service, charity work, and her willingness to break the norms of royal behavior. Diana's active engagement in royal duties made her stand out to Sophie, and she always referred to Diana as a selfless person with a down-to-earth character. After Sophie married into the royal family, she sought to form a close bond with Diana, but the relationship was strained. Diana, struggling with her own personal issues and the breakdown of her marriage to Prince Charles, didn't reciprocate the closeness Sophie desired. She saw Sophie as someone who had transitioned smoothly into royal life, unlike her own difficult experience. The media also fueled this tension, constantly comparing the two royals in terms of appearance and fashion, which Diana resented. There were even rumors that Diana accused Sophie of mimicking her style. Before we delve deeper into the secret Sophie exposed, let's take a look at the lives of both of these notable royals and how they became part of the royal family. Sophie Helen Rhys-Jones, now the Duchess of Edinburgh, was born on January 20th, 1965, at Radcliffe Infirmary, Oxford. She came from a middle-class family, with her father working as a sales director and her mother as a charity worker. Sophie attended Dulwich Preparatory School, followed by Kent College, and later trained as a secretary at West Kent College in Tunbridge. Sophie began her career in public relations, working for various firms, including Capital Radio and McLaren Communications. She even worked as a ski representative in Switzerland and spent a year in Australia. In 1996, Sophie launched her own public relations agency, RJH Public Relations, which she ran for 5 years. This career allowed her to connect with the public, especially outside Europe, and helped her become known as one of the most accessible royals. Sophie's life changed dramatically when she met Prince Edward, the youngest son of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, in 1987 while working at Capital Radio. Although Prince Edward was dating Sophie's friend at the time, fate intervened, and the two began a relationship in 1993. Their engagement was announced in December 1998, and they married in June 1999 at St. George's Chapel in Windsor. On the day of their marriage, Prince Edward created Sophie as the Countess of Wessex, with a subsidiary title of Viscountess Severn. Despite her humble background, Sophie's close bond with the late Queen Elizabeth helped her feel accepted by the royal family. Sophie's royal duties and engagement with the public have shaped her into one of the hardest working members of the royal family. She's often been compared to Princess Diana due to her similar approach to charity work and her empathetic interactions with the public. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Sophie volunteered to deliver food to NHS staff and help combat isolation by talking with people on the phone. Her involvement in public service has made her beloved by the public, much like Diana was in her time. As for Diana, she was born Diana Frances Spencer on July 1st, 1961 at Park House, Sandringham, and grew up in a family closely connected to the British royal family. Diana's upbringing and education were marked by her strong community spirit, which earned her an award from her school. Before her royal life, Diana worked various jobs, including being a preschool assistant, a cleaner, and a dance instructor. She met Prince Charles for the first time when she was just 16, but their serious relationship began in 1980. After an engagement in 1981, Diana became the first royal bride to have a paying job before marriage. Her royal duties and public service became defining aspects of her life, making her known as the People's Princess. Now, as we explore the secret Sophie exposed about Diana, we see the remarkable similarities and contrasts in their paths through royal life. Both women's relationships with the public and their charity work have shaped their legacies, and Sophie has been widely recognized for carrying on Diana's legacy of service and compassion. Charles's devotion was met with disappointment. She pleaded with him, confronted him directly, and sought to understand why he remained emotionally distant. Despite her efforts, nothing changed. Torn between his obligations as a husband and his history with Camilla, Charles failed to reassure his wife. The strain between them was impossible to ignore, and soon their troubles became public knowledge. The media picked up on Diana's somber expressions, her downcast eyes at events, and her increasing emotional distress. Speculation ran wild as journalists dissected every appearance, every word, and every movement, searching for signs of marriage that was falling apart. The tabloids thrived on the gossip of betrayal. As the rumors intensified, so did the public's interest in what was happening behind closed doors. With the truth exposed, the royal family faced a crisis. To curb the damage, Charles sat down for a televised interview where he admitted to having been unfaithful to Diana. The carefully constructed image of a responsible, devoted prince crumbled in an instant. Diana, humiliated on an international scale, was left to face the fallout alone. Diana's heartbreak became a global spectacle, while Charles faced widespread criticism. Many saw Diana as a woman trapped in an impossible situation, married to a man who had never truly let go of another. Some believed she had been wronged, while others felt sympathy for her. Charles, arguing that duty had forced him into a marriage that was never meant to be. Regardless of public opinion, the reality was clear. Their union had failed. Diana battled deep insecurities and openly spoke about her challenges. She talked about her struggle with bulimia, a disorder she later admitted had taken root in the stress and rejection she felt in her marriage. The pressure of living under constant scrutiny, combined with her private heartbreak, led her to cope in ways that she later sought to overcome. Her willingness to discuss such deeply personal issues set her apart from the traditional royal image. Instead of maintaining an air of distant perfection, she allowed the world to see her vulnerabilities, making her one of the most relatable public figures of her time. By 1992, Charles and Diana had formally separated. The end of their marriage was inevitable, and by 1996, their divorce was finalized. Despite the difficulties in her personal life, Diana channeled her pain into something greater. She developed a passion for humanitarian work, focusing on causes that others shied away from. She used her platform to bring attention to those in need, showing kindness in ways that broke royal precedent. Her compassion and authenticity earned her widespread admiration. Even as her marriage crumbled, her popularity soared. She continued to champion causes close to her heart, including HIV/AIDS, landmine clearance, children's welfare, and mental health awareness. Her ability to connect with people on a deeply human level solidified her reputation as the people's princess. Diana had transformed from a young bride seeking love into a powerful advocate for those who had none. Her tragic demise in 1997 only intensified the deep connection the world felt with her. Millions mourned, feeling as though they had lost someone they personally knew. Today, her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, continue the work she once championed. Through their charitable endeavors, they honor her legacy, ensuring that her compassion and dedication to those in need live on. Though Diana's time was cut short, her influence remains undeniable. Meanwhile, this was an opportunity for Charles, a love that stood the test of time. Camilla's connection to Prince Charles existed long before she became his wife. Though they married years after Diana's passing, their history extended back to a time before Diana was even part of Charles's life. Their relationship had been known within aristocratic circles. However, before her involvement with Charles, Camilla was romantically linked to Andrew Parker Bowles, a man who played a significant role in her early adult years. Their love story was complex, involving periods of separation, reunions, and eventually marriage. In the late 1960s, Camilla was introduced to Andrew Parker Bowles through his younger brother Simon, who worked at her father's wine firm in Mayfair. At the time, Andrew was serving as a lieutenant in the Blues and Royals, a regiment within the prestigious Guards Division. His position in the military and connections within aristocratic circles made him a sought-after figure. Their relationship gradually developed, but it was not without difficulties. Still, their bond remained strong enough for them to consider marriage. Their engagement was announced in 1973, but reports later suggested that this decision had been influenced by their families. Allegedly, their families took it upon themselves to make the engagement public before they had officially agreed upon it. The unexpected nature of this announcement ultimately led Andrew to propose, and their wedding took place on July 4th, 1973. At the time of their marriage, Camilla was 25, while Andrew was 33. The couple went on to have 2 children. Their son, Tom Parker Bowles, was born on December 18, 1974, followed by their daughter, Laura, on January 1, 1978. Tom had a significant royal connection, as he was chosen to be the godson of King Charles III. Both children were raised in the Roman Catholic faith, a decision influenced by their paternal grandmother and Parker Bowles. However, Camilla herself never converted to Catholicism, remaining an Anglican throughout her life. By the early 1990s, cracks began to appear in their marriage. Years of strain had taken effect, and after 21 years together, they decided to end their relationship. In December 1994, they began the legal process of divorce, and just a month later, their petition was granted by the High Court Family Division in London. On March 3, 1995, their divorce was finalized. Andrew moved on and remarried, bringing an official end to their chapter together. Long before her marriage to Andrew Parker Bowles, Camilla had already met Prince Charles. Their paths first crossed in mid-1971, during a period when Andrew was romantically involved with Princess, and, despite frequenting the same social circles, Camilla and Charles had never been formally introduced until their mutual friend Lucia Santa Cruz arranged for them to meet. Their introduction did not take place at a polo match, as many have assumed, but rather at Santa Cruz's home. Their connection developed quickly as they discovered shared interests and a similar background. Over time, they became a well-known couple within aristocratic circles. They attended social events together and enjoyed equestrian sports, a passion that further strengthened their relationship. Charles was eventually introduced to Camilla's family at their home in Plumpton. Likewise, she met members of his family. Despite the strength of their connection, circumstances ultimately created a turning point. In early 1973, Charles had to leave for military service in the Royal Navy. His absence placed strain on their relationship, and by the time he returned, their romance had come to an end. Although they were no longer together, Charles and Camilla maintained a strong friendship. Some sources claim that their romantic involvement resumed by 1980, while others suggest that it had never completely ended. Regardless, Camilla's presence in Charles's life remained evident as Charles's marriage to Diana broke apart. The emotional impact became visible. The couple struggled to maintain their union, and both sought comfort in different ways. Diana pursued relationships outside of her marriage, while Charles's connection with Camilla remained strong. The tension surrounding their situation led to increasing scrutiny, and public opinion was largely critical of their actions. Eventually, the royal marriage could no longer be sustained, so Charles and Diana finalized their divorce. Sadly, tragedy struck in 1997 when Diana passed away. Her passing shifted the public's focus, and for a time, Camilla stepped away from the spotlight. However, as time went on, Charles and Camilla's relationship continued to progress. On February 10, 2005, Clarence House announced their engagement, marking a significant moment in their journey together. The announcement attracted widespread attention, as it carried weight beyond a simple union between two individuals. Charles's position as the future head of the Church of England introduced a level of complexity, as Camilla had been previously married. Despite initial concerns, approval for their marriage was secured from the Queen, the government, and the Church of England, allowing them to move forward. Their civil ceremony, held on April 9, 2005, took place at Windsor Guildhall. The wedding arrangements reflected the sensitivity of their situation. Notably, their parents did not attend. Instead, Camilla's son Tom Parker Bowles and Charles's eldest son, Prince William, served as witnesses. With her marriage to Charles, Camilla was granted the title of Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Cornwall. While she was entitled to be called the Princess of Wales, she opted not to use this title due to its strong association with Diana. This decision was made in acknowledgement of public sentiment, as many still viewed Camilla's presence in Charles's life with skepticism. On the 8th of September, 2022, Queen Elizabeth II passed away, and Charles immediately became king. With this transition, Camilla assumed the title of Queen Consort. Initially, she was referred to as Her Majesty the Queen Consort to avoid confusion with the late Queen Elizabeth. The title emphasized her supportive role alongside King Charles III, while maintaining a distinction from the monarch who had reigned for 7 decades. Over time, Camilla gradually overcame the challenges she initially faced. Public perception of her evolved, and she gained increasing recognition for her role within the royal family. Each new challenge marked a different stage in her journey. What had once been a source of controversy eventually became an accepted reality. To understand how Charles was able to stand firm on his decision, let's review his early years and explore the factors that influenced his upbringing. A monarch in waiting. From the moment King Charles was born on November 14, 1948, his life was unlike most. As the firstborn child of Queen Elizabeth II, he was placed in a unique position, destined to inherit the British throne one day. Even as a toddler, his future was set in stone, and from the moment his mother became queen in 1952, the world turned its attention to him. Cameras flashed, reporters took notes, and every milestone he reached became a matter of public interest. Unlike other children who grew up playing in parks unnoticed, Charles lived under constant scrutiny. Photographers documented his first steps, followed him on school outings, and captured his expressions in every setting. His childhood was filled with privileges, but also came with great expectations. Living in grand palaces, traveling the world, and attending important events were part of his reality, but so was the responsibility of being the future monarch. While other children could run freely and make friends without worry, Charles had to follow strict rules. Every interaction had the potential to be analyzed by the press, and every friendship risked being reduced to a news headline. Playtime was often supervised, and casual outings were rare. Even the simplest moments of childhood were shaped by the knowledge that he was different from other boys his age. While they imagined growing up to be anything they wanted, Charles knew he had only one path ahead of him. Public appearances were an unavoidable part of his childhood. Charles often found himself in formal attire, standing in front of large crowds. He learned how to shake hands with important figures, maintain a polite smile, and follow the strict etiquette expected of someone in his position. Despite his royal duties, Charles had moments of loneliness. Expressions of affection were rare in his family. And while he was always well cared for, there was little warmth in his upbringing. His parents, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, were deeply committed to their roles as monarch and consort, often leaving their son in the care of nannies and tutors. Their demanding schedules meant they traveled frequently, fulfilling royal duties across the Commonwealth and beyond. While Charles understood the importance of their work, their absence left a void. At times, he felt emotionally distant from them. His father, Prince Philip, had a strong personality and expected Charles to be tough and resilient. However, Charles had a sensitive nature, and this difference between them created a challenge. While Philip believed in discipline and strength, Charles often longed for more encouragement and gentleness. This contrast led to moments of emotional struggle, where Charles felt he had to suppress his natural inclinations to meet his father's expectations. School life was another challenge. Unlike some royals before him, Charles did not receive his education entirely within palace walls. Instead, he attended schools outside the royal residence, including the strict and physically demanding Gordonstoun in Scotland. His time there was difficult. The harsh environment and emphasis on endurance did not suit him, and he found the experience isolating. Unlike his father, who had thrived in such an environment, Charles struggled to fit in. Despite these difficulties, he had a deep love for learning. He was curious about the world, enjoyed history and the arts, and had a passion for nature. Whenever possible, he escaped into outdoor activities where he could enjoy moments of peace away from the constant expectations placed upon him. He found joy in painting, music, and literature, all of which provided him with a way to express himself in ways he could not always do in public. The media followed him closely as he grew older, analyzing every decision he made. This relentless attention meant that he had to be careful at all times. Mistakes that might have been minor for anyone else could quickly turn into controversies when they involved him. The pressure to live up to expectations made him cautious, sometimes appearing reserved or distant. But in reality, it was a defense mechanism. This guarded nature would later become a defining trait, influencing how he interacted with the public and the media. Although his upbringing was difficult in many ways, it also shaped the person he became. He developed a strong, decisive ability. While his childhood had been marked by emotional struggles and strict expectations, it also instilled in him a sense of duty. He understood that being a future monarch was not just about appearances. It was about responsibility. He wanted to make a meaningful impact, not just as a figurehead, but as someone who could contribute to the betterment of society. His experiences as a young prince influenced his leadership style. Rather than simply following tradition without question, he sought to find a balance between the past and the present. He respected the customs of the monarchy, but he also wanted to bring attention to issues that mattered to him, such as climate change and the well-being of young people. While many assumed that being born into royalty meant a life of ease, Charles's journey was filled with personal battles. However, Charles was not always one to follow expectations. Defying all odds, heirs to the British throne traditionally stepped into military service immediately after completing their formal education, following a long-established path of discipline and duty. However, Charles was not one to blindly follow expectations. After finishing his A-levels at Gordonstoun, he surprised many by announcing his decision to attend the University of Cambridge instead of heading straight into the armed forces. This choice unsettled many within royal and military circles, as it deviated from the usual course for a future king. Some believed it suggested a lack of commitment, while others saw it as an attempt to sidestep the physical and mental rigors of military training. Despite the criticism, Charles remained steadfast in his decision, determined to show that academic achievement and royal responsibilities could coexist. His time at Cambridge was unlike anything previous heirs had experienced. Studying anthropology, archaeology, and history, he worked toward a degree at Trinity College, an institution known for its rich intellectual tradition. His pursuit of education was historic, as he would become the first British heir apparent to earn a university degree. Throughout his time at Cambridge, he was constantly in the public eye, with the media documenting even the smallest aspects of his student life. While he adhered to royal protocol when necessary, his time at university gave him a degree of independence that was rare for someone of his status. He had the opportunity to form genuine friendships and experience life outside the rigid confines of palace traditions. The academic setting exposed him to new views, broadening his understanding of history, politics, and global issues. His time among students from different backgrounds allowed him to gain a deeper understanding of ordinary life. Despite the intellectual growth he achieved, not everyone was convinced that his time at Cambridge was beneficial. Some within the royal family and their advisors worried that prolonged absence from military service could affect his preparedness for the crown. They viewed his academic pursuits as a distraction, an unnecessary delay that distanced him from the structured environment expected of a monarch in waiting. However, Charles did not waver in his conviction. Amid the skepticism, he continued his studies, balancing academic pressures with royal engagements. After completing his coursework and earning a second-class lower Bachelor of Arts degree, he turned his attention to the military. His initial decision to delay service had attracted criticism, with some questioning whether he was avoiding the tough demands of training. Determined to prove otherwise, Charles volunteered for Royal Air Force training. His training with the RAF required a high level of concentration and skill. He studied technical subjects such as aerodynamics, navigation, and aviation medicine, preparing himself for flight exercises. He demonstrated strong dedication, impressing his instructors with his work ethic. Some had doubted whether he possessed the discipline required for such an environment, but those overseeing his training saw a determined individual who was unwilling to fail. His journey in the military did not stop with the RAF. Charles soon followed in the footsteps of his father and grandfather by joining the Royal Navy at Britannia Royal Naval College. He underwent an intensive program designed to accelerate his transition into naval service. Life at sea presented new challenges, but he quickly adapted. He took on various roles aboard different vessels. His assignments tested both his leadership abilities and technical skills, pushing him to apply his training in real-world scenarios. During his naval career, he participated in operations that required quick thinking and composure under pressure. One significant moment involved monitoring a Soviet submarine, a task that required precise coordination and focus. These experiences reinforce his ability to remain calm in high-stakes situations, further silencing those who had questioned his commitment to military service. Among the highlights of his time in uniform was his development as a pilot. Charles dedicated countless hours to refining his flying skills, practicing complex maneuvers, and mastering formation flying. His perseverance paid off when he earned the prestigious Double Diamond Trophy, a recognition given to top-performing pilots, as it demonstrated his ability to excel in demanding conditions. Eventually, Charles reached a new milestone in his military career when he was appointed as a commanding officer of the minesweeper HMS Bronington. Leading a crew required him to make strategic decisions, manage operations, and oversee missions that included the disposal of leftover World War II ordnance. The role proved his ability to hold responsibility and lead under challenging circumstances. By December 1976, his active service came to an end, and he left the military. Charles's career journey had been marked by skepticism, just like his relationship with Camilla, but he persevered. His time in uniform had proven that he could balance tradition with his own ambitions while earning the respect he deserved. These experiences shaped his understanding of devotion and resilience, preparing him for the next stage of his life. What had once been seen as an unconventional path had instead demonstrated his ability to forge his own way while honoring the responsibilities that came with his birthright. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.